History's wildest characters. 5 people too bizarre to believe. History is filled with extraordinary individuals, but some stand out for reasons that seem almost unbelievable. I'm talking about people so eccentric, so bizarre, that if they appeared in fiction, we'd call them unrealistic. Today, we're diving into the lives of 5 of history's most fascinating and downright crazy characters whose real lives were stranger than fiction. Our first incredible character is Grigory Rasputin, the seemingly unkillable Russian mystic. Born to peasants in Siberia around 1869, Rasputin transformed himself into one of the most influential men in Russia through his alleged healing powers and hypnotic charisma. What makes Rasputin truly extraordinary was his infamous death in 1916. A group of nobles, concerned about his influence over the Romanov family, particularly Empress Alexandra, decided to assassinate him. What followed was like something from a horror movie. First, they fed him cakes and wine laced with enough cyanide to kill several men. When that didn't work, they shot him in the chest and left him for dead. But Rasputin revived and attempted to escape. His assassins shot him again, beat him with clubs, and finally wrapped him in a carpet and threw him into the freezing Neva River. When his body was recovered, water was found in his lungs, suggesting he was still alive when he hit the water. Medical reports indicated he had survived the poison, multiple gunshot wounds, and a severe beating before finally drowning. Whether through extraordinary constitution or sheer willpower, Rasputin's death became as legendary as his life. Moving from Russia to America, we find our second incredible character, Joshua Abraham Norton, who in 1859 proclaimed himself Norton the Emperor of the United States and Protector of Mexico. What makes Norton remarkable isn't just his delusion, but how San Francisco embraced him. After losing his fortune in a failed rice investment, Norton apparently had a mental breakdown and emerged with a new imperial identity. Instead of institutionalizing him, San Franciscans played along. He issued his own currency, which local businesses accepted. He wore an elaborate uniform with gold-plated epaulets donated by army officers. Newspapers printed his imperial proclamations, including his order to dissolve Congress and his decree that anyone calling San Francisco Frisco would be fined $25. When Norton was arrested once by an overzealous police officer, public outrage led to his immediate release and an official apology from the police chief. At his death in 1880, over 30,000 people attended his funeral. Despite having no actual power, Emperor Norton was treated with respect and affection that many real rulers would envy. Our third extraordinary character takes us to early 19th century England, where a mysterious young woman appeared in the village of Almondsbury speaking an unknown language. This was Princess Caraboo, supposedly from the island kingdom of Javasu, who had been kidnapped by pirates before escaping to England. For 10 weeks, Princess Caraboo lived with a wealthy family, practicing exotic customs, swimming naked in their lake, and captivating British high society with her foreign ways. Newspapers reported on her, and linguists tried to decipher her language. The truth? She was actually Mary Baker, a cobbler's daughter from Devon with an extraordinary talent for deception. Her foreign language was a made-up combination of gibberish and words from Romani and other languages she'd encountered. Her exposure came when a former employer recognized her picture in a newspaper. What's remarkable about Caraboo's story isn't just the elaborate hoax, but how it revealed British society's Orientalist fascinations. People believed her story because they wanted to believe in exotic princesses from far-off kingdoms. After being exposed, Mary Baker actually went on tour as Princess Caraboo, embracing the character that had brought her fame. Our fourth extraordinary character is Howard Hughes, whose transformation from Hollywood mogul and aviation pioneer to reclusive germaphobe represents one of history's strangest descents. In his early life, Hughes was a daredevil and visionary. He set multiple aviation records, produced groundbreaking films, and dated Hollywood's most beautiful women. But following a near-fatal plane crash in 1946, Hughes began a slow spiral into extreme obsessive-compulsive behavior. By the 1960s, Hughes had withdrawn completely from public view. He lived in hotel penthouses with blackout curtains, handling objects only with tissue paper, and watching the same movies repeatedly for days on end. His hair and nails grew uncut, and he stored his urine in jars. Despite his deteriorating mental state, Hughes continued to run his business empire via memo and telephone, making billion-dollar decisions while completely isolated. Perhaps most bizarrely, Hughes employed a small army of Mormons as personal assistants because he believed they were the only people who wouldn't lie to him or try to poison him. He created elaborate protocols for everything from how a can of fruit should be opened, with multiple implements that had to be cleaned in specific ways, to how people could enter his room, a process involving multiple tissue layers and hand-washing rituals. What makes Hughes so fascinating is that despite his extreme eccentricity, he remained one of the richest and most powerful men in America until his death in 1976. His paranoia and germophobia didn't prevent him from amassing even greater wealth, showing how exceptional talent can sometimes coexist with profound psychological dysfunction. Our final extraordinary character is Emperor Caligula of Rome, whose 4-year reign from 37 to 41 CE set new standards for imperial excess and apparent madness. After a promising start to his reign, Caligula suffered what historians believe was either a serious illness that affected his brain or a psychological breakdown. What followed was a series of increasingly bizarre behaviors. Caligula declared himself a living god and ordered statues of himself erected in temples. He appointed his favorite horse, Incitatus, as a priest and planned to make him a consul. He built a floating bridge across the Bay of Baiae, using ships lashed together just so he could ride across it and prove wrong a prediction that he had no more chance of becoming emperor than of riding a horse across the Bay of Baiae. Perhaps most infamously, Caligula once declared war on Neptune, the god of the sea. He marched his legions to the shore and ordered them to throw their spears into the water and collect seashells as spoils of war. Some historians believe this may have been a humiliating punishment for troops who refused to invade Britain, but others see it as evidence of his deteriorating mental state. Caligula also had an incestuous relationship with his sister Drusilla, murdered citizens for their property, and randomly executed people at banquets for his amusement. He was eventually assassinated by his own Praetorian Guard, who could no longer tolerate his erratic and dangerous behavior. What makes these 5 individuals so fascinating isn't just their eccentricity, but how their bizarre behaviors intersected with important historical moments. Rasputin's influence contributed to the fall of the Romanovs. Norton's reign coincided with San Francisco's formative years. Caribou's hoax revealed colonial attitudes toward the exotic other. Hughes's innovations in aviation and film came despite, or perhaps because of, his obsessive personality. And Caligula's excesses hastened reforms in how imperial power was transferred in Rome. History isn't just about great battles and political movements. It's also about extraordinary individuals whose strange lives remind us that truth really is stranger than fiction. These 5 characters, the mystic who wouldn't die, the emperor with no empire, the fake princess who fooled society, the billionaire who couldn't touch a doorknob, and the emperor who made his horse a priest, show us that behind the dry facts of history lie human stories more fascinating than anything we could invent. Thank you for joining me on this journey through history's most incredible characters. If you enjoyed this exploration of the strange side of the past, hit subscribe for more historical deep dives, and let me know in the comments which of these 5 characters you found most fascinating, or if there are other bizarre historical figures you'd like me to cover in future videos. Until next time, remember that history is always stranger than we imagine.